Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
Oh, we've got loads of good stuff coming up this week, including cycling Crocs, cameras that can detect if you're wearing cycling helmets, a new bike, a new world in Zwift, your upgrades, the Bike Vault.
Plus, our main talking point, our record tech. Right, let's start off with the poll from last week.
So last week we asked, can a human on a bike break the 200 mile an hour marker? And I'm pleased to say 74% of people said, hell yeah, they can.
Hell yes.
Yeah, which does mean 26% of people said, no way, humans are weak.
Bit harsh.
Yeah,
bit harsh.
But anyway, on to our main talking point for this week, because we're going to take a look at some of the tech that's involved for beating the hour world record. Because only the other week, Alex Dowsett announced he was going to be going for his second attempt.
Yeah, he did the record back in 2015 and he got it, and that record only lasted a month before Bradley Wiggins came along and snatched it. This time, the distance he has to beat is 55.089 kilometres, which is held by Victor Campenaerts.
Yeah, and about a month or so ago, Joss Loudon broke the women's hour world record with a distance of 48.405 kilometres. And that is now the women's official world record.
That's a long way in an hour, isn't it?
It is a long way in an hour. So we thought, why not take a look at the different tech that's used to take on such a unique event? And, well, should we start with the frame?
Yeah,
okay.
Let's do it. We've seen a variety of different frames used for the hour record, but the common theme is that the frame needs to be super aero and the weight doesn't really matter that much.
Joss Loudon, Dan Bingham, and even the Danish Olympic Team Pursuit Squad have used the Argon 18 Electron Pro track frame set.
Yeah, it was. Wiggins had a specially adapted version of the Pinarello Bolide, but since then Pinarello have brought out the Matte, which very lucky to have one myself. I do love that bike. And it's Pinarello that Filippo Ganna uses, and there has been rumours that he's going to tackle the hour record soon.
God, I look forward to seeing that.
That's going to be good.
That will be good. But going back to Dowsett's attempt, he's going to be using a Factor Hanzo, which is specially modified to suit the track and all the setup that you need for that, and is very similar to the bike he'll use on his normal time trials. Now, all this fancy high-tech kit around has almost become run-of-the-mill to see riders using custom-made aero time trial extensions. We've seen modular systems and even 3D printed titanium versions, meaning riders can get their position dialed in and just perfect. Even at the Tokyo Olympics, we've seen the custom 3D printed titanium bars by that company called Bastion.
Yeah, the Wattshot Pentaxia Olympic handlebars have been pretty popular as well. And the whole handlebar package with extensions would set you back an eye-watering £8,500. That's just for the handlebars.
That is literally insane. That's more than most people spend on a bike.
A lot more.
It is a lot more. The other day I was catching up with Ollie discussing, I don't know, all things tech related.
But that was a fun conversation.
It was a fun conversation, but to top that conversation off, Ollie then told me he'd had another conversation with Dan Bingham about the width of handlebars. You know, they love chatting about this sort of stuff. But something interesting did come from this, that Dan was testing a 15 centimetre wide base bar on his track bike.
15
Yeah,
centimetres?
in search of like aero gain. So that's like that.
Can you even ride like that?
Yeah. So the reason he was testing that is because, well, I guess you only use the base bar for
the start.
And
then for the next whole hour.
Yeah, so you're not really going to use it. But they haven't fully got the results sorted yet because they think there may well be an advantage to be had by using a wider handlebar, and it acts as a sort of fairing. And the wording that they used was the handlebar could have an upstream effect downstream on the rider. So that's taken the same approach that Ribble have used on their Ultra road bike with those funky shapes on the handlebars.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right, now on to wheels. Disc wheels are a must on the track,
Disc
obviously.
brakes?
No, disc wheels.
Oh, sorry.
Like lenticular ones, and they were first used by Francesco Moser, and they were said to weigh 7 kilos. But nowadays, the wheels are a lot lighter than that.
Yeah, so using a disc wheel offers a significant aerodynamic advantage because not only is it a component that's travelling at very high speed with the rider, it's also rotating at a very high speed, and therefore is a component where you could make significant speed advantages.
And pretty much all tubular.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
No one, well, I don't think anyone has ever done the hour world record using anything other than tubular tyres. We've not seen inner tubes, we've not seen tubeless. No. And I guess the reason behind that is because a tubular tyre is basically the best options for that setup. You've
rounded.
got super supple, lightweight casings, really thin tread, and you can pump them up to incredibly high pressures.
And when Alex says incredibly high pressure, we mean like 180, 200 PSI.
I don't even have a
Rock
pump
hard.
that goes that high.
Just carry on pumping until
Yeah.
you can't fit any more air in there.
So I guess that means it's perfect for the really hard, smooth surface of the velodrome. It means it can go as fast as possible. But
Exactly.
yeah. On the subject of tyres, Landh.wav has been rumoured to be trying to decide what width of tyres he's going to use for his record attempt in a few weeks. And from the information I've seen, he's saying if he's using the Campag wheels, I think
he's got two options.
yeah,
of
if he uses the
wheels,
Campag wheels, he'll use a 19mm tyre on the front and 23 on the back, whereas if he uses the head disc wheels, he'll use 23mm tyres because the width of the rim is that bit wider, so it pays to use a wider tyre. Drivetrain efficiency is a very important aspect when taking on the Our World Record, and it's something Manon is always talking about.
I love it.
She's not, I'm just making it up. But it is an important area for that Our World Record because it's an aspect where it could kind of be make or break, because there's some big advantages to be had here.
Take the Danish team pursuit squad at the Olympics. A little birdie here at GCN Megabase told us that if they had used a different chain loop in the final, they would have certainly won gold over Italy.
We've seen...
And that's just over a 4-kilometre team pursuit. Imagine the advantages over a whole hour.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
There's some big advantages to be had with chain efficiency, and it's the reason why we see lots of riders selecting a really large chainring at the front and also a large sprocket at the back. So Victor Campenaerts, for example, when he was planning and preparing for his record, was choosing between whether he used a 63-tooth chainring at the front and a 14-tooth sprocket, or a 59-tooth and a 15-tooth sprocket. I can't remember if that's quite right, but they're ginormous gears.
Yes, they're like dinner plates.
Yeah.
So next up, helmet and skin suits. These are two very unique bits of kit, and there's no set fastest. It all depends on what skin suit and helmet they use and if it is the right one for the rider.
Yeah, everything needs to be individually tested for this sort of aspect of tech that we're looking at. We see all sorts of fancy materials with loads of textured surfaces, lines, bobbles, all sorts of things. And it's even to do with the careful placement of the seams where some of the materials meet, whether it's placed down the front of your arm or to the side. It has such a big impact on the aerodynamic properties of that. And it's the same with the helmets. The careful placement of it's going to be tested. What works for one doesn't work for another. But in terms of the skin suits, we've seen Dan Bingham use the Vortex skin suit, and Dowsett is also rumoured to be using that. And get this right, how much do you think these things cost?
Quite expensive, maybe like 200 quid?
Oh, you're miles off the mark. These are like £3,200. Actually,
skin suit.
£3,250. So we've said how important a lot of the kit and technology is, but the location of where you're going to do your Our World Record attempt is just as important. And there's two trains of thought here. You either go incredibly high, so you take a location that's got high altitude, so the air pressure is low, the air density is low, and as such, you can ride faster through the air for less effort, but then you've got less oxygen to breathe, so your power's going to be a little bit lower. Or you go sea level.
Yeah, you could go sea level and have all the oxygen, but the air does tend to be a little bit slower.
Yeah.
So Alex Dowsett is doing his hour record in Aguascalientes in Mexico, which is at quite high altitude. But the thing with that is you need to, adapt to the altitude. But I read somewhere that he's lives, I think, is either 100 metres higher or 100 metres lower than the same altitude
pretty close.
in Mexico as when he lives in the season in Andorra.
So he's not really going to have to spend as much time
He's already going to be
adapting his body.
Yeah. So if me or you went there, it would be like breathing through a straw. We just wouldn't be able to cope with it.
Be like when I'm running late to the office and I'm out of breath when I turn up. But the historical record attempts so far that have taken place show that the best sort of option is to go to high altitude, and the trade-off of having less oxygen and less power is worth sacrificing to be able to go faster through the air. On the subject of the power that the riders need to produce to ride at the speeds for the hour record, some of the numbers that we've heard reported for the records are in the region of about 350 watts if the riders are up at altitude, because there's less oxygen and they can't develop the same amount of power. Some riders a little bit less, like when Dan Bingham did his record, he was reported to be around 330, 340 watts because he is so aerodynamic, but riders like Bradley Wiggins, who did their record attempt at sea level, were reported to have done in excess of 400 watts, which
400 watts
it's kind of like mind-blowing, isn't it, really?
The riders will always record their power, but they won't actually be able to see the power when they're riding. It'll be for their data to look back on after the ride. So their head unit will be clamped onto the saddle, and unless they've got eyes in their bum, won't be able to see it.
Yeah, they definitely will. Some of the information that they get tends to be from a person at the side of the track. So they might have a large handheld display giving them lap splits. And I guess there's also the fail-safe method of just shouting at them. Speed up, slow down. Yeah, you've gone too fast.
Yeah.
No one's ever said you've gone too fast to me.
No, I'm not surprised.
Right, final little section about our owl record tech. But how much do you think some of these bikes cost? I mean, surely we're in the region of in excess of £20,000.
And the rest, if you think about what the handlebars we mentioned, they were £8,500. And then how much was that skin suit?
3,250.
Yeah. So
okay,
the whole thing
a lot
together,
more.
quite a lot. Yeah.
Like more than a new car.
Possibly, yes.
Yeah, a lot more. But I think we should have a poll on some of this stuff. So what area of kit or product do you think makes you go as fast as possible?
I'm going to give you 3 options.
Yeah.
The frame, the wheels, or the tyres. Head over to the GCN app and vote.
I'm going to go with wheels.
I'd say wheels as well.
Okay, wheels it is from us.
Yeah, there we are. Don't need a poll. Go and vote. It's now time for Hot Tech, and first up this week, we've got some updates from Zwift.
So Zwift have got a new update to their map on the world of Makuri Islands. So that's grown much bigger than before, and there's also a new circuit there called Nyoko? Nyoko. So if you know how to pronounce that correctly, please let us know in the comments section down below. And this is a new route which enables people to ride through the hustle and bustle like a city centre. It takes you through all the streets, even through shopping centres, apparently.
That sounds quite cool. Zwift have also got a new home screen where it's just going to be a lot more simpler and make it faster for you to start your ride.
I'm intrigued to find out what this new circuit's like. They say it's going to be fast from flat, so it could be sort of one I like riding.
That's my cup of tea.
Yeah. Next up in Hot Tech, we've got a new product from Kickstarter, and it's said to be the world's first cadence booster system. And it's a product
booster system?
Yeah, well, it's a product called Zen Slip. I've not heard of it before, but it's designed to sit in between your cleat and the base of your shoes, and it also not only increases the stack height slightly, but changes like the angle your foot sits at very slightly, and it's said to boost your cadence and cycling power.
Very interesting. They also claim that it improves performance by 5% and you're 30 seconds quicker over 10 minutes.
5%, 30 seconds per 10 minutes is a lot, isn't it?
That is a lot.
Some fairly bold claims. We can't say we know whether they're valid or not, but the only thing to do is head over and check it out for yourself.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they're actually any good, because I could do with 30 seconds every 10 minutes.
I could do with that, yeah.
You could do with more. Next up, some very special cameras that can detect if you're wearing a helmet. So in Dubai, it is mandatory to wear a helmet when you're on a bike, and they are testing these brand new cameras on bike paths that basically detect to see how many riders wear helmets. But these cameras, they have to be pretty special, because if you think on bike paths, there's dog walkers, runners, just walkers, and cyclists. How do these cameras detect who the cyclists are and who's, just because you're not going to wear a helmet or walk on a dog?
I can tell you how.
Oh, go on then.
Artificial intelligence.
Oh.
Well, it's not quite that simple, but there's loads of complex algorithms and cameras that are programmed to detect moving objects and, like you say, detect if they're wearing a helmet off, because it's been mandatory since, I think it was 2010.
Yeah.
Although there obviously are going to be potential drawbacks with this, because only last week I saw a news article which said about an area in Bath, just outside where GCN Megabase is, a lady walked in a bus lane, and one of the bus lane cameras picked up that they thought it was a car in there, because she had something printed on her t-shirt, and it picked up that it was a number plate. Yeah, it picked up that it was a number plate, and then some unsuspecting person the other side of the country got a fine for going in the bus lane. And that's a legit story.
Really? Because if you walk in a bus lane and should we go walk in a bus lane and imagine someone's got a GCN number plate?
No, well, I've got a way better idea. We'll get Ollie's number plate printed on t-shirts. Yes. We're going to go round all the bus lanes like,
we're just heading all bus lanes and back.
But what it does highlight there's some flaws in systems like this, and something I just thought of is if you're not wearing a helmet, how are they even going to identify you unless you have a number plate on your bike?
Good question.
Could just be anybody, couldn't it? Maybe we should have a poll on this. Let's have an additional bonus poll. Should you be issued with a fine if you're not wearing a helmet, if it's mandatory to do so? Like, yes or no? Head over to GCN App, let us know, vote on the poll, and we'll discuss it next week as a little Brucey bonus.
A little bit off topic now, Alex, but Christmas is coming very soon, and we here at GCN have got you covered. If you're looking for, a Christmas present for someone special, then we have just got a brand new cookbook on the GCN shop. So if you've got a friend that likes cooking, maybe that's for them. Another thing on the GCN shop is an R-Saver, and that is actually my favourite piece of winter accessories.
Get organised early, tick some presents off for Christmas, job is a good one. Yeah, now earlier on the show I also promised you a brand new bike, and I can confirm there's a new bike on its way from Orbea, a bike designed to be aero and incredibly fast. And the great news is, hopefully, we'll flash up a quick little image of it so you can get a sneak peek. And Ollie is doing a first look on this bike, covering all the cool details, giving you all the information you could possibly need to know about it. And it's coming out of the weekend.
Oh, nice. Final bit of hot tech this week. Check these out, Alex. Do you remember Crocs?
Yes, I do remember Crocs.
They now do a cycling Crocs.
No.
But I'm not sure about them as a cycling shoe. They're not the stiffest thing in the world, are they?
No, they've got a real flexible sole. I mean, so these ones I've looked up online, actually, they've got a 2-bolt cleat fixing, like a mountain bike cleat, for example.
Would you not feel that? Because they're quite squishy.
I reckon it's maybe just great for cruising around down the park, riding to the pub.
Yeah, definitely to the pub.
Probably not great for winter. Your feet are going to get wet and particularly cold.
Yes, true. But apparently, there are only going to be a limited amount of these available. So if you are a Crocs lover and you love cycling, then why not get some? It's now time for Screw Riding Upgrades by Upgrades, where you submit picture evidence of upgrades that you've made to your bike, cycling lives, for a chance to win GCN water bottle. But before we get on...
Ultimate prize.
It's such a good prize. Before we get on to this week, let's take a look at last week's results.
Right, last week, I'll hit you with the results. So we had, whose upgrade was the best? Stalforce's folding bike upgrade or CRS Sandelli, apologies on the pronunciation of that, with their first electric geared bike. I can see you voted for the folding bike.
I quite like the folding bike.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Unfortunately, the winner is CRS Sandelli. I wish I could say it properly. I do apologise. With their first electric geared bike, 66% of the votes.
Nice.
Get in contact with us over on Facebook and we'll ensure the water bottle is shipped out to you. Now, we need to take a moment of seriousness for the show for this moment, because over the last week, lots of upgrades were submitted. Admittedly, not quite as many as some weeks, but the quality just wasn't there this week, was it?
Yeah.
We had poor quality images, we had upgrades that weren't quite worthy of the show. So
they just didn't make the cut this week.
They didn't make the cut, so we feel like we need to give you it's like a polite reminder.
Yeah, a little boost.
Let's put a bit of effort into the upgrades, because we love going through them.
Yeah, we do.
But I feel like you guys at home could do better, and we only feel like we can show the best. So hopefully next week, we'll put it all back together and we'll get back on track.
Yeah, we're not angry, we're just disappointed, okay?
I couldn't be angry at anything.
Not very good angry people, are we?
Right, on to the bike roll next.
Oh!
It's now time for the bike vault, where you upload pictures of your bikes and Manon and I judge them to be either nice or super nice. If they're super nice,
the bell gets rung and they get put into the bike vault forever and ever and ever and ever.
So first up, let's take a look. We've got Gideon Geldus 1234 with a Scott RC30 2021 edition.
Say no more. Goes into the bike vault. Bish bash bosh.
Next up, RMP with a 2022 Specialized S-Works Crocs. What do we make of this? Well, the bike's the wrong way round.
I mean, absolutely stunning view. I would super nice that view, but we need to work on the positioning of the bike.
The bike. I can't even judge many of the criteria that we need to.
It could be better.
Unfortunately, it's a nice I say it like it's a bad thing, but it's still nice.
It still made it onto the show. Next up, we have got Santa Canakumba. That's what I was trying to say.
Something like that.
Yep. Again, we need to work on the angles, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, another beautiful view.
Because of the angle of that, when I glanced at it, I thought it had a ginormous rear mudguard, but it's the post it's lent on.
Yeah, it is. Oh, chunky tyres on that.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. So lots of accessories, poor angle, cranks
It's
on
a
the
nice.
lines, the bike's in the
It's a
shape.
nice.
It's a nice. Next up, we've got
Jack.
J.
Oh,
Coefficient.
knows the bike fault.
Oh yeah.
I mean-
sorry, it took me a while to catch up with you then.
We've even got a shadow stand, and that deserves extra points.
Oh, and it's the Pro Shadow stand, the one that means the cranks are level.
That is commitment. That is wow.
I'm a big fan of
impressed.
that.
This
Is
could-
it titanium? I think it might be.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, okay, right, super nice
This
that.
is the super nice so far.
Yeah,
Nice.
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 Next up is Nilton Vieira with
Oh.
a 3T Explorer Max, SRAM
Okay.
Force.
We're
What
getting
is with the
We're
angle?
getting creative with the angles here. I see what they're trying to do, like
Very
adventurous,
in the wilderness.
gravelly, outdoorsy.
Yes. Well, even
Are
though
you
the
Biggie
rear,
Smalls? I don't know.
I would say even though the rear derailleur is obscured, I don't think it is in Biggie Smalls.
I mean, the cranks aren't aligned.
Cranks aren't aligned. Valves, I'm not sure of. We've got
Can't
accessories
see.
left on the bike. As much as I
Nice.
think you've done a great job, it could be a lot better. Room of improvement is a nice.
Nice.
Next up, we've got Baptiste Diffuse.
I mean, it's all I can see here is a horse's bum.
Where? Oh yeah.
How can you miss that?
Sorry, I was looking at the bike. So what have we got here? We've got lots of the bike missed out of the image, which is very unfortunate and poor
That's kind
planning.
of what we're judging here. Not. I mean, it's a cool picture of the horses in the background, but
Yeah.
mean, could-
Unfortunately, it's not making the cut.
no.
Appreciate your bike is probably a nice bike, but we can't even judge it correctly. It's a specialised roubaix. And unfortunately, it also means that's the last Bike Vault entry for this week.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit disappointed that you've not managed to enjoy the Bike Vault to its fullest with lots of super nices.
No, but there was one standout bike there with a
Yeah.
shadow stand.
Yeah.
From I think it was Jack. That did it for me.
Okay, well,
was the
that
cherry on
rounds,
top, yeah.
rounds off the GCN Tech Show. Hope you've enjoyed it this week. It's great to have Manon back on board. Ollie, I don't know, I've
No
not seen
idea
him.
where
No
Ollie
idea
is.
where he is. If you've enjoyed the show, give it a big thumbs up. Share this video far and wide. And remember to let us know in the comments section down below what you thought of our incredibly poor jokes.
Your
See you-
incredibly poor jokes.
See you next week.